Yeah,
But
you get like a little sweaty. You're like, oh man, is that hot in here? Like, woo.
welcome to the Austin and Matt podcast. This is Matt.
And this is Austin.
This week we watched Hell or High Water from 2016. But first, Austin, what did you watch this week?
Literally nothing.
Nice. I didn't watch a lot either. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I started rewatching The Batman, and I was like, man, this movie's so cool. And then my kids kept like stepping in and bothering me, and it's like I can't watch this while they're hanging out with me. So I was like, I'll wait for them to go to bed, and then they went to bed, and then I fell asleep. And I was like, well,
3 hours.
So much
long.
For that.
That would be a lot to try and watch. I didn't watch much either. I'm still kind of trying to blast through my rewatch of Stranger Things. So it's still good. I'm kind of surprised. Like, really, I think part of me expected to not enjoy it very much, and I'm absolutely loving it. I do think from what I remember, a lot of people dumped on the second season. They didn't like it. I'm perfectly happy with it. I think.
Yeah, I thought so. Like, the only thing I didn't like about season 2 was season 1 had like a lot of mystery to it, where it's like, where's Will? Where's who's your friend that dies that like nobody cares about anymore?
Barb.
Barb, yeah.
I only know that because I actually have quite the crush on Barb, and I'm not. Maybe not Barb like in Barb mode, but that actress, when she's just like herself, I think she's very, very cute. Yeah. Anyway,
do they have flaggers in the 80s? That
I can guess that Barb likely was one, or at least in the marching band. I don't know if there's an actual scene with her in a marching band costume, but I'm like 90% sure. Like, when I conjure an image of her in my head, I imagine her in a band uniform, and I'm pretty sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, you get like a little sweaty. You're like, oh man, is that hot in here? Like,
yeah, you know me.
Real quick, Stranger Things seasons 1, 2, 3. If you had to like put them in like ranking order, where would you put them?
Starting at the best.
Yeah.
1, 3, 2. But 2 and 3, honestly,
you're also
like,
shitting on season 2.
I'm not dumping on it. I'm just saying that it's the least of the 3, but they're all great. But also, the season 2 and 3 really like blend together in my mind. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this season that I'm like, I thought that was the 3rd season. So but it's still great. But that's all I want. Did I watch something else?
Real quick, hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
So the one thing that I don't like in season 2 of Stranger Things is the end of season 1, and it's like, oh no, 11 is gone, and then literally like episode 1 season 2, it's like, JK, she's right here.
yeah And I actually, the funny thing is, and spoiler for Stranger Things if you haven't seen it, I actually think they're going to do a similar thing in season 4 that's coming out, where it's like, ooh, Hopper might be dead. Okay, number one, if anybody genuinely thought he was dead at the end of season 3, they're kidding themselves. But I also think that it's going to be a very quick little moment, like, oh yeah, by the way, like, everybody kind of knows he was alive and he's fine. Like, don't worry about it. You know, like, I think they might kind of pull the same type of thing. So, you don't think so?
No, I think they will. I think it will be stupid, but yeah, I think they will.
Okay. You were shaking your head for a second there, and suddenly I was worried that for some reason you hadn't seen season 3, and I had just given you a major spoiler. No, I know you get very upset about.
Yeah, so I've definitely seen season 3. For me, I really enjoy when people die in shows and series, and it's when like the creators are actually like, no, dude, like, this guy is dead. That's why I was so hooked to Game of Thrones for such a long time. It's like, wow, I really liked that character, and they are gone. Like, we might get a flashback with them, but that's as much as we're probably going to get. But Stranger Things has not done that in any of it. They've only like teased that somebody's going to die. I mean, excluding Barb. Let's be honest here.
And there was a guy who died in
Sean Austin,
3rd season, but he was totally like expendable from the get-go. Like, it was Alexei, the Russian guy. That's the one.
I'm talking about. There's Alexei. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Bob. From was that season 1 or season 2?
But Bob was also expendable from the first 2. Like, I kind of got the feeling from the get-go, I was like, Bob's definitely gonna die. Like, I kind of hate that too. And I love Stranger Things. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, sometimes when you can kind of tell, like, oh yeah, that person's going first. You know, like, that gets on my nerves too.
Like he's a little too nice. He can go.
Yeah. Yeah, and they definitely want to like explore the possibility of Joyce and Hopper being together, so he's definitely got to go. So yeah. Cool. Anyway,
Hell or High Water.
Let's get to this. So this is Hell or High Water. This is a synopsis from IMDb. In Texas, after the death of his mother, the unemployed oil and gas worker Toby Howard is losing his ranch to the Texas Midlands Bank. Toby is divorced from his wife, who lives with their 2 sons. When his brother Tanner Howard is released from prison, they team up to rob agencies of the Texas Midlands Bank to raise money to pay the loan so that Toby may leave the real estate to his sons. Meanwhile, the Texas Ranger Marcus Hamilton, who was near retirement, and his Native American descendant partner Alberto Parker try to anticipate the next move of the thieves. Austin, what did you like about this movie?
For starters, that was a really long synopsis, man. Like,
that was a little bit longer than we usually go through. I did not write that one. That was from IMDb, but
I was gonna say, I was like, wow, like normally we're just like a sentence or two.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite thing about this movie is that they kept the character list very low. And by doing so, they didn't make any promises that they couldn't keep. So like for the most part, it was brothers and then partners on their way working through this, and like here and there was like some other people, like the divorced wife and some of those things, but like we didn't need to know a whole lot about those things, just like the general circumstance. So they didn't have to do a lot of plot discovery with that. So they're, with the remainder of the time, we got to build into relationships between, well, who are these brothers and who are these partners and what's going on for their story. So I love that there was no loose ends. I also like that they got away with it. Now, like they're,
but
yeah. So they really focus on. There's a lot of people now that's like, I haven't really met anybody who's robbed a bank and been able to spend all the money. Like they make a huge point out of that. Like nobody gets away with a crime anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So for this to happen, where the goal was they were going to rob these banks, pay off these loans, get the real estate, get it over to the boys, and then like that way everything is all figured in and fine, like, and taken care of. Very few times does that actually happen. So
and then put all of that money back into the bank that was trying to screw you over in the first place.
I love the conversation.
So great.
Where he's like, all right, well, I'll fax this by the end of the week. It is the end of the week. And it's like, it takes a while. I got nothing else to do today. He sends the fax, waits for him, doesn't even shake his hand, then is like, do you guys do trusts? And then finishes his whole business there. When they were starting to like detail out, it's like, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this in order for this to work. Part of my mind was like, someone's going to fall through on this, and it's not going to go how they want it to. But no, they executed on it. They got it done.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm a sucker for stories or movies where like the bad guys technically win, or like you're following like the bad guy. So
and at least the one who really does come out unscathed, you're rooting for him, and you're kind of like, yeah, you know what, good for you. It worked. There's not many movies that have made me sympathize with like a genuinely technically villainous character in that way. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that it's Chris Pine, so you know that's great.
Yeah,
I'm always rooting for Chris Pine. From like Star Trek to this, I can't think of anything else he's been in. Anyways, Matt, what did you like about it?
I'm just gonna be like outright, like I really like this movie, and I'm kind of like, I'm really surprised that I let it kind of fly past my radar 5 years ago, because I was aware of it. I had seen trailers and say what? 6 years?
6 years, sir. Yeah, 2022.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It was like, I think I saw trailers and I was just kind of like, you know, these modern day westerns, I don't really care. So I'm bummed that I missed it 5 years ago. Watched it again, or watched it for the first time last night, and really, really enjoyed it. I think one thing that I loved about it is that it is surprisingly funny. I think that the first laugh is when they're robbing that lady and she calls him stupid, and Ben Foster says, You're stupid.
Yeah.
No, I'm not stupid. You're stupid. And I laughed and I was like, please let this be the tone of the rest of the movie, where it's not an outrageous comedy, but it definitely like is willing to be silly and have these funny lines, and it did that throughout the movie. So I was so impressed with just like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm glad this movie has like the guts to be a hardcore modern day Western, but is willing to laugh at itself a little bit and kind of be silly. I really enjoyed that line from Ben Foster when he's talking to the hotel desk clerk, and he says, in your last days in a nursing home, you're going to think about me and giggle. I was just like, what a fantastic line. Like, I wish that I was like weird and older and single like him, so I could just use that line on people to be funny.
I can imagine like how many times did he like slapped or like eyes rolled, and this is the one time that it paid off.
And I was so sure that he was going to gamble all of their money away. But did he end up getting more money for them? It seemed like he actually made more money for them in the end, from what I could tell.
Yeah, it does look like he did get a little bit more money there, but like probably like not. He was up a lot, and you saw that. But I think he left the table like just a little over what he had like went to the table with.
Yeah, so that was cool. I mean, also Jeff Bridges, dude. And I haven't seen him in much lately. I don't know if he's just getting to that age where he's just kind of retiring, like Gene Hackman or other people. But his performance when he shot Ben Foster, and he kind of like laughed and cried at the same time. Like, it was one of the most believable, just like this sigh of like relief of like, I got him, and I'm so happy that I got him, but I'm also completely heartbroken because I just lost my partner, you know? Jeff Bridges, man, he's great. So I was super happy to see him in this. I also really enjoyed, and I didn't even enjoy this, I found it really interesting. There was two things I found super interesting, and I don't even know exactly what they were getting at. There was this huge, like, always this constant juxtaposition between old and young, or even like really old and younger and then youngest. You know, there's that scene where you see kind of this old school cowboy on his horse at a gas station, and up pulls these like guys in a bright green Fast and Furious car or whatever, and Chris Pine just tears into him. And that same kind of moment too when Jeff Bridges is talking to that cowboy and says, I'm doing this and it's terrible, and then I wonder why my kids don't want to do it, you know? And there was another moment too where Jeff Bridges and him were talking, and the old waitress that they had dealt with earlier was walking off in the background. Like, I feel like there was supposed to be this really purposeful, like, here's what's old, here's what's new, this is how things change. And I know there's something to that. I guess I need to sit down and kind of think about the movie a bit more to figure out what they're getting at there. But I really enjoyed the fact that like the banks are the bad guys, and everybody agrees. Jeff Bridges and this guy are like trying to capture the bad guys, the ones who are robbing the banks, and they even talk about like, yeah, the banks are like the worst, you know? Everybody just kind of agrees like these banks suck, they're hurting us all, and you know, here's these guys robbing the banks, and even the people who are in the banks, number one, who goes and robs a bank with like 18,000 Texans inside who are all armed. Holy cow, like that was the first, like the second I went in there, I was like, oh, they're in Texas, this is a bad idea, you know? Even those guys who are probably getting hurt by the banks too, they want to go chase who they think are the bad guys to bring them to justice for what they did, you know? So I thought that was cool. I thought that was really interesting. I think there's a lot, I would like to see this movie again and put my thinking cap on a little more and see where I feel like it's getting at with that whole like, well, here's old and here's the new. It was just interesting. Austin, what did you dislike about this movie?
Ooh. So before I move into this, you're kind of mentioning like there's kind of like common themes. Another common theme they used a lot was cowboys and Indians as they were going through, and I really liked with the partners that's like one of them claims to be a cowboy, one claims to be of Indian, even though he's part Mexican as well. But when he dies, like Jeff Bridges' character like is torn by like he wants to die so badly. You can tell like he wants to go on a blaze of glory. This was kind of like his thing. He gets into it, and the wrong person dies. Somebody who is like, I really hope to get to your age and have those things. And just the one who wants can't get. The one who like complains only suffers more. So but yeah, there's a lot of the kind of like those positions of Cowboys and Indians. But honestly, like the things that I didn't like about the movie, like they're really small. Jeff Bridges' character, he's very much Texan and Texas, and I was noticing that like there's just common themes of like badgering or things like that is of Texas culture, where like they're being shits to each other, and then one of them gets upset, and it's like, oh, like I thought like I was rubbing off on you a little bit, like I thought we were becoming friends, and it's like, no, you're just kind of being an asshole. So there were times where I was like, Jeff Bridges is being an asshole right now, but it worked well for the movie, and it definitely led into being a very believable character. So although I got a little annoyed, it's fine. It was part of it. The really like the only other thing that I didn't like about the movie was so there's the final ending scene where Jeff Bridges shows up. Chris Pine's character meets him, and they have that conversation of, I don't care how you did it, like I'm gonna figure that part out, like I want to know why. And he figures out his why, but he's still very upset about it, meaning that like he's still going to be a bitter old man even though he found out like why it happens. He's taking it very personal to the stance where it's like, you kill my brother killed your partner, like this should be like even peace, but he still wants more out of it. And it's like, fine, I guess if that's what you want your defining trait to be as a character, that's okay, but like that's not the sense I was getting as I was going through this. Like it seemed like he just wanted everything to end, and now he's like longing for this like revenge, and it's like, nah, all right, fine. But it was a cool conversation. I liked it. It was just okay. I felt like it was a little betraying to the character as well.
So you feel like at the end of that conversation, Jeff Bridges still wanted to get Chris Pine's character?
Yeah.
I disagree. I think that that conversation was him like really realizing, especially when Chris Pine's ex-wife came home and his kids came home, and he realized this house isn't even for you. All this stuff that you use this money for isn't even for you. I can kind of live with that. And I think he said, we're both going to be haunted by this for a long time. I can't remember exactly what he said after that, but I got the feeling that he was like, I don't agree with what you did, but I'm going to kind of let it be. And I think...
So had the conversation ended right there, yes, 100% would have been fine. Okay. It was the comments afterwards where it's like, hey, I'm renting a little like house in the town. If you want to like come find me and finish this conversation, it's like, you know what? I think I will. And at that point, like if the comment would have been like, no, like I think I'm done, then, or if he would have been like, I'm retired, like I've been like, okay, like he's moved on from this, but like clearly he's still holding on. You're holding on.
I felt like maybe that was more a little bit of like, I'm gonna keep my eye on you, and if you ever show me that you did this for yourself or for selfish reasons, I'm gonna take care of you. But if all I ever see from you is that you're gonna be an honest guy who did this for your kids and did this for the reason you said, because Chris Pine said like, my family has been stuck in poverty for generations and I'm putting a stop to it, you know?
Yeah.
That was
cool.
A good line. Yeah. And I think Jeff Bridges' character understood that, I guess. I don't know. I guess I took something else out of the very end of that conversation than you did. But
yeah. So like it was, as mentioned, it was going to something where I was like, oh yeah, totally. This is great. They have an understanding. He knows why he did it, what he's doing it for. Doesn't know how he did it, but he'll figure that part out. Like this is done, closed book. And then they pulled like a Stranger Things season finale where it's like, oh, maybe it's not over. Like I'll see you in town. Yeah, it's like, no, like just walk off at that point. It's fine.
And I do think, and go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask like if you had any dislikes, but yeah.
I think, and kind of along your point as well, I do think the realism at the end there is a little bit off. I think, well, he ended up with plenty of money and he never had any priors, so we're not looking at him. I'm like, come on. In
No.
real life, you'd keep looking at the brother. Like, do not act like everyone's gonna not touch him anymore, So I think that I found that to be a little unbelievable. I do almost think they were pointing at the idea of like the banks don't want to touch him because now they're getting so much money from him that they don't even care if he robbed the bank, and maybe they were trying to get at that a little bit, which also was totally messed up. Like the banks definitely are the bad guys. So they're like, oh, several people died, but hey, as long as we got his money, we don't care,
It's like, what's the cost of a life? It's like, well, it looks like $50,000 a month.
Yeah.
Every month, if you ask me.
Yeah. So, I did love how Chris Pine manages to get hit on wherever he goes, because even as like an old hillbilly with a handlebar mustache, he's still freaking Chris Pine.
He's the best looking guy in Texas, so that's fine.
Yeah. So, but it was good. I liked it. I thought the plot line as well with the waitress who was definitely protecting him because of what he had done for her, and gave her that money. That was like, yeah.
Have you seen anything else that waitress has been in?
I actually looked her up on IMDb. It looks like she's done a ton of stuff, but it's nothing that I've actually seen.
Yeah, there's I think is it Eastbound and Down?
Oh, no way.
I want to say that she's in, and she's super funny. She plays like the ex-wife, and cool. Just always has like some sort of like banter or things like. She's really funny.
Awesome.
So someday soon, maybe she'll get that cool big role.